This PC has been sitting untouched for almost 3 years. I honestly forgot I even had it. It was buried in a pile of old systems, so today I decided to power it back on, just to see what would happen. But I didn't expect it to be this weak. It was so slow that it couldn't even run one of my favorite games at the lowest settings. At that moment, I thought this machine was completely useless. But then something interesting happened. After installing Android on it, everything changed. The FPS almost doubled compared to before. Same hardware, same PC. Completely different performance. And in this video, I'm going to show you the dramatic transformation of this forgotten machine. And this right here is the Dell Optiplex 7020. If you've ever worked in an office, you've probably seen one of these. It showed up in thousands of businesses back in the day. It was a very common office PC around 2015. I bought this machine about 3 years ago, and at the time it handled basic office work like Word and Excel just fine. Now fast forward to today, these are all over eBay in all kinds of configurations and price ranges. And with hardware prices going up so much lately, this is actually a good time to take advantage of systems like this and turn them into something more interesting. In a few previous videos, I upgraded similar machines into gaming PC. But this time we're doing something different. Today I'm turning it into an Android machine. Before we power it on, let's open it up and make sure everything inside looks okay. First, I'm checking the power cables and connectors. Everything looks normal. No damage, no signs of anything chewing on the wires. Looking around the rest of the components, nothing seems out of place. There's a bit of dust in here, but that's expected after sitting for a while. Alright, let's plug it in and see if it still boots. And it does power on, but the display looks a little noisy. Now that usually points to a connection issue. My guess is the video port has oxidized from sitting unused for so long. So I'm going to clean it with some contact cleaner, use a small brush, and scrub the connectors carefully. Let's try that again. There we go. It's working normally now. Now that we know it works, let's see what's actually inside. We've got a Pentium G 3240 processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM running in dual channel, and a 320 gigabyte hard drive. So yeah, a very typical old school office PC configuration. So first I tried doing a few basic tasks on it. For simple office apps, it actually works fine, but that's not the real test. So I launched Minecraft. Loading into the game was slow. Really slow. Yeah, it took almost 5 minutes just to get in. I'm running it at 1080p with an 8-chunk render distance. And performance? It's rough. Frames per second sits between 10 and 20. Frame drops are very obvious. The experience feels pretty bad overall. So clearly something needs to change. And that's why I'm installing Android on this machine. Before we start, we'll need a few things. First, an SSD. If we want better speed, the hard drive has to go. And of course, we'll need a USB drive. Now, since this is an older machine, there's a good chance it doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi. You could use Ethernet, but to make Android x86 work more smoothly, I'm adding a Wi-Fi card. I picked this one up for about $15. Next, we need a USB drive with at least 8 gigabytes of space. The one I'm using here is a 16 gigabyte Kioxia drive. I'll use it to flash Android x86 and then install it onto the internal drive. For storage, I'm going with a 120 gigabyte SSD. Now that's not a lot of space. If you install Windows on 120 gigabytes, it's almost full right away. But for Android x86, that's actually plenty. Now let's download the Android x86 ISO. I'm using the latest version available. Android x86 9.0 supports both 32-bit and 64-bit systems. Usually, I try the 64-bit version first. If it doesn't work, I switch to 32-bit. For this Dell Optiplex 7020, I'm downloading the 64-bit build. The ISO file is about 921 megabytes, and to create the bootable USB, I'll be using Rufus. Alright, next step, let's create the bootable USB. First, plug the USB drive into your computer, then open Rufus. From here, select the correct USB drive. Next, choose the Android x86 ISO file. For the image option, make sure it's set to ISO image. That's the recommended mode. Then click Start. You'll get a warning that the USB will be erased. Confirm it. Rufus will create the partitions and flash Android x86 onto the USB. Once it's finished, the USB is ready. Now let's move back to the PC. First, I'm replacing the old hard drive with the SSD. Then I'll install the Wi-Fi card into the PCIe X1 slot. Alright, time to install Android x86. Plug the USB into the PC and enter the boot menu. Depending on your system, the boot key may be different. On most Dell machines, it's F12. Select boot from USB. You'll see options like Live CD and Advanced options. I recommend trying Live CD first just to make sure everything works properly. If everything looks good and you're ready to install, go into Advanced options, then choose Auto Install to specified hard disk. Select the SSD, in this case the 120GB drive. Confirm yes. The system will format the drive and install Android x86. Once the installation is complete, remove the USB. Select Reboot. The system will now boot into Android x86. The first boot can take around 10 minutes. If I were still using the old HDD, it could take 3 to 5 times longer. After installation, we'll go through the Android setup process. It's basically the same as setting up a new Android phone. First, connect to Wi-Fi. Then sign in with a Google account so you can access the Play Store. Once inside the system, go to Settings arrow Android x86 options and enable Native Bridge. This helps improve compatibility with apps that are designed for ARM processors. Some apps still may not work, but with Android 9.0, compatibility is much better than older versions. Alright, so Android x86 is now fully installed on this machine. First, I wanted to test a few basic features. I opened YouTube, and honestly, it runs really well. Playback is smooth, no stutters, no lag. That also tells me the Wi-Fi card is working perfectly with this setup. Now let's go back to Minecraft. Same settings as before, 1080p, 8 chunks. But this time performance is completely different. FPS has almost doubled. It now sits around 30 FPS most of the time, and in lighter scenes it can even jump above 60. Now I tried something heavier. I blew up a bunch of TNT. FPS dropped to around 14, and there were some minor dips. But overall, it still felt smoother and more stable than before. Next, I pushed it further. I increased the render distance to 32 chunks. At that setting, FPS hovers between 50 and 60, but it's not very stable. Frame drops still happen, and map loading takes noticeably longer. So I decided to go the other direction. I dropped it all the way down to 2 chunks. Now visibility is limited, but performance improves a lot. FPS stays above 60, and the experience feels smooth and stable. And, honestly, this might be one of the best upgrades I've ever done. It's such a simple idea, but it's a great way to bring weak PCs back to life. I really thought this machine was completely outdated, but just by switching to a different operating system, it changed everything. Now sure, the hardware is still weak. It's still built for basic office tasks, but after this change it's able to make the most of what it has, and handle Minecraft surprisingly well. And this upgrade proves something important. Sometimes the upgrade you need isn't a new GPU or a new CPU. Sometimes it's just using a smarter operating system for the hardware you already have. Now, it's still not perfect. There are limitations. And this was just an experiment. But if you've got ideas on how to improve old, low-end PCs like this, leave a comment below. And that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed it, Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.